You're in America's election headquarters, and you know already that the race for the White House is in full steam ahead. Political analysts are saying President Obama's decision to back same-sex marriage could signal a larger shift in his campaign strategy. And could such a shift help or hurt the president's chances of re-election? What about fundraising? Let's bring in our panel. Ron Bonjean served as communications director for former House Speaker Dennis Hastert, and Ryan Clayton is a Democratic campaign consultant and founder of 100proofpolitics.com. I don't think that has anything to have to do with drinking, Ryan, though, right? 100 proof?
Maybe a little bit.
Well, we'll have to see whether the proof is in the campaigning. Ryan, let me start with you. The president did come out on same-sex marriage to much fanfare and some political events that will raise money for him in the coming week. At the same time, Governor Romney is speaking to evangelicals and pointing to similarities on social issues between faith and religion and what he stands for, marriage between a man and a woman. How helpful will this be to each of the campaigns, Ryan, fair and balanced, to actually garnering support of those they need, particularly with independents?
Yeah, well, first of all, let me say Happy Mother's Day and say I love you, Mom, out there, and to all the mothers out there doing a great job, especially those who are in same-sex couples struggling through a political environment that's definitely not welcoming to your families right now. Hopefully, very soon, there will be a day where most Americans will look and say, your marriage is just as good as ours, and your families are just as good as ours, because that's the way that most Americans feel right now. And quite frankly, people like Mitt Romney, who are beating up on gay people to rile up his political base, really that's just alienating to most Americans. They're out of sync with the way that most Americans feel about this issue, and they're also standing on the wrong side of history.
Well, Ron, is that how you see what Governor Romney had to say?
No, not at all. I think that the president made this decision. He was going to make this decision before or after the election. I'm glad the president made this decision before the election just so that we know what he stands for. And what this did is it solidified the evangelical vote around Mitt Romney. He needed that after the tough primary with Rick Santorum and did nothing but help him. And this decision by President Obama, I think, doesn't help him one bit going into the general election. You know, there are white middle-class voters who are moderate Democrats that are walking away from him because of jobs in the economy. In these battleground states, the economies are not doing very well at all. And so Obama has to figure out a new coalition, and I think this is part of that. He needs to, you know, energize the gay and lesbian community, get that fundraising going, get that coalition behind him in order to energize his base and refigure out how he's going to try to get elected in November. It's going to be a tough one for him.
Ryan, there are Republicans who have spoken out in favor of same-sex marriage. And it seems to me, as an impartial journalist looking at the two of you and listening, that what both sides are talking about is the recognition of families, family values. Whatever your family values may be, being supportive. If that's the case, if that's the way you see it, Ryan, then is it a distraction from the issue that's important to all Americans, which is the economy?
Yeah, well, every day when, you know, a couple gets together and expresses their commitment and publicly pledges a lifetime commitment to each other in front of their friends and family, that's a good day. That's a day to celebrate, you know? And, you know, all people deserve the freedom to marry, whether you're black, white, brown, gay, or straight.
But what about
really
the economy? Ryan, what about the economy? Because the president said again and again in his campaigning and in his presidency, he will not be distracted. He will focus on putting us back to work. He will focus on making people invest in the markets and manufacturing. Yet this week primarily was spent on talking about his change in position on same-sex marriage.
Yeah, well, when it comes to the economy, marriage is actually a really important issue because one of the leading causes of divorce in this country is bankruptcy and health care bills that people can't manage, and it starts a lot of stress and strife in families. So when the economy's back on track, we'll have a lot healthier marriages in this country,
and do you
both gay
feel
and straight.
That, because I want to keep you on topic because we're really trying to talk about the stance of these two candidates in this presidential race on the issue of same-sex marriage, family values, and the economy. If you think the economy is as important as you say it is the president doing everything, Ryan, that satisfies you as a Democratic strategist to turn this economy around at this point so close to November?
Definitely. I think President Obama prevented the Tea Party recession from turning into the 21st century Great Depression, you know, and he's doing a great job of doing that. But at the same time that he's working on the economy, he's also sticking by his guns and standing by his principles and saying, you know, there's a right thing and there's a wrong thing to do in this situation. And where I'm from, you know, in the Midwest, we don't stick our nose into other people's business. And if you're not gay, then frankly, this is just none of your business. And the people trying to score cheap political points off of this are just using gay couples that are committed as a whipping boy to get their public agenda.
Ryan, thank you for expressing your passion on the topic. I appreciate you weighing in. But, Ron, let me ask you this. If the president, as Ryan says, is sticking to his guns, then why come out last week and talk about his position on same-sex marriage?
Well, I think he was forced into it because of Vice President Biden saying what he said, you know, backing gay marriage, and there was a lot of questions about why wasn't the president doing what, you know, why wasn't the president getting out there on it. But, you know, I got to tell you something. I'm from the Midwest, too. And when my family and when voters drive by, you know, empty storefronts and there are thousands of people unemployed, and then they turn on the TV and they hear the president talking about gay marriage, they think there's a disconnection of priorities, that the president should be focused on growing jobs and growing the economy and not trying to grow his coalition for an election in November, and then do a lot of fundraising out around it where he raised millions of dollars of cash this week after he made this endorsement of gay marriage. I think most people in the Midwest, at least battleground voters, are going to be scratching their heads, or are scratching their heads about it right now.
We know those states are really important for both. Ron Bonjean and Ryan Clayton, thank you very much to both of you. Have a great day.
Thanks a lot. Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you so much.